to see you, to meet you. Well, no, to meet some of you and to see most of you. Um, I'm really happy to share what Open Longevity is here to present to you, because we've been working on several of these projects for quite some time now. And I think it's not really clear what Open Longevity is like doing there behind closed doors within its language bubble. So I'm happy to explain what we are doing, what we're into. So Open Longevity community tools is the topic. And what is Open Longevity actually? So Danilo, can you see the whole screen of mine, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So Open Longevity is kind of three things. And of course, we will be focused on the middle part on community, but I will also briefly explain the other two things here. So obviously, we're into science. We're looking for scientific solutions to extend our lifespans. And we do like a number of scientific researchers here, and we're mostly focused on combinations. And I will explain a little bit more about this right now. And we're a community, obviously. And we're very much focused on ethics. It's another huge part of our work. We've worked through the whole rhetorics, how to communicate with our community as well. So science, what can I tell you about science here? Focus on combinations, as I said. What does it mean? We think it's really like not that possible or not that likely that the solution for life extension will be just one therapy. We're looking for a combination of different therapies, and not only looking for the combinations, but we try to build the basis for us to select the best combinations. Because if we're talking about combinations, we are facing this problem of a huge, combinational blow number of experiments we are about to test. And how do we select the best combinations of drugs, of targets, of genes, of anything? And we do a number of experiments here as well. So our projects in selecting the best combination. First, we build a database of genes associated with aging and longevity. It's called Open Genes. It's a 100% open database. We just combed through many articles which mentioned some alterations in genes. Here we go. The database is ready. You can take a look at it and give us some feedback, because we would be really happy to people who actually use it. And as any huge IT project, it also it will benefit highly from the feedback and from some customer development after it has been beta tested. So this is the basis for us to work out these best combinations of genes as targets and as therapies as well. And we're writing a series of articles right now to set the theoretical basis of how to select the best combinations. We're testing one of the combinations already. We've been doing this for almost a year in Turkey, in the lab and in the university in Turkey. They're doing okay right now. It's fine. Hopefully we will start another experiment soon in New York, but on mice. We'll see how that goes. We are also looking at the combinations from a different angle. We have a team of mathematicians who are selecting the best combinations using their mathematical and tools and theoretical physics and all. Obviously, if we are looking into combinations of different things in our body, we cannot skip the extracellular matrix, and very focused on that part of aging. Well, not officially a hallmark, but definitely a very interesting mechanism of aging. And we also have a huge project which is called AGCT. Guess why it's called that way? And it's actually where our scientific combinational projects meet the community which we are focused on, because AGCT is a major thing. It's a forum. It's a number of chats where people are actually talking. Our volunteers are talking and creating these best combinations. So next, what ethics? Why are we so much focused on ethics as well? Well, it's important when we stand for it and when we stand on. As an example, you can find this article of Misha Batin, my co-founder in Opal Longevity. This is his long read about like 13 unsolved challenges to influence life extension. And these are all, well, not scientific problems, but we are facing them in the industry anyway. And you can pick up some like ethical basics where we stand on from reading this article. You can find it on our website. Oh, here are the examples of problems that he's talking about. Well, actually, he's planning to write like several more. Hopefully, this will be like 42 problems. But these are like the problem that is not considered a problem in our society. That there's a huge like cultural wall of death, of explaining death, of justifying death, which we have to face in our industry, and it affects us dramatically. We have a choice problem. We have a lack of the strategy problem. We will face human nature. So stuff like that. We face a lot of things that science does not address. Well, scientists do not address, though it affects their work dramatically as well. But yeah, you can also get acquainted with our ethics from YouTube channel of Misha Bains. Most of the movies here, and this is the series of Expedition for Immortality. Yes, they were shot in Russian, but Expedition for Immortality Cryonics is half in Russian, half in English, and it is all covered with English and Russian subtitles, so you can easily watch that movie. And all of the other movies are with good quality English subtitles. We've edited them. We have had volunteers work through them, so it's not automatically created by YouTube. Yeah, some of the ethics is there. So, but why is ethics so important? When we talk to our like future community members, we ask them questions like, "What are your views on this and that?" And I would like you to take a look at the first question we ask here, like being alive is better than being dead. Do you agree? And this is like this is so like basic, simple thing to agree on. But there are so many people that argue with that statement as they raise like, okay, are you sure that you want to address it from that angle? Maybe we should talk about the importance of health, like expanding our health span. But no, within this many years working in the industry, we realized that emphasizing the importance of life, not health. Obviously, we're like, nobody is against health extension, obviously, but if you emphasize the importance of life, it affects dramatically like how people will work in the group, what projects will they select. I think people who are mostly into life extension rather than health extension, they tend to be more altruistic and more volunteer oriented. And people that are mostly into health span tend to create startups, and they tend to see like immediate effect. Probably this is like the nature of this difference here, and some other things here too. So yeah, we are writing the books, we are shooting the movies, we are trying to come up with the right wording of what are the like right things we should do. But again, community, the most important thing that we are, gathered here to talk about. Some metrics first. So how big is the open longevity community? It's kind of like hard to calculate, but let's start with the subscribers and all. So Facebook is our major social network, and Misha being like much longer than me in the industry, and he's very active in writing. Friends and subscribers combined is 15,000. I have like 7,000, and we have a huge group, a longevity group, which is also 7,000 people. Misha's YouTube is like 10K, which is not that a lot at all, unfortunately, for a YouTube channel, but we're getting there. But we are mostly proud right now with our community in Telegram. Telegram is a Russian messenger. It is very popular here. It is very effective. It combines some functions from Discord, from Slack, and many others. It's free. It lets you create forums as well as chats and channels and all. It's very effective, and we like it. And we have we started with like chats there, but then Telegram let us create the forums, so split the chat into many topics within it. And then we created the AGCT forum, which has like 47 topics. So these are like the topics that people are interested in, and there are more than 2,300 people there. Not all of them active, of course, but still these people are there. And also we forked this forum into another one, which is called Life Extension Forum. We discuss mostly like art and social research, so more less technical, less like biology and technical stuff there. And it's growing. The number of people is growing in forums. They're very active. 300 messages per day, so people are actually communicating there. And we also have like an open longevity channel on Telegram. It's not that big again, but we would like these numbers to grow, but we're happy with the level of involvement and the activity of people even now. I would say we gained several very active volunteers within like these years. We also have a system of titles in open longevity. It hasn't been fully implemented. We came up with great titles. We designed the cards for these titles. We have 42. You can be a writer. You can be like a coin master if you help us. If you're basically an accountant or some person who helps us with legal stuff. You can be a community engineer and help us build the most important thing we have here. You can be a business person and start some startups with some right ethics there. You can be just an ambassador of open longevity or any longevity of life extension movement, spreading the word. We will be happy to give you this card. Only like 226 people have these cards right now. We would be happy to give out more. I think we're just a little bit lacking the system of how to give the cards properly and how to make people feel that these cards are actually important and useful. But we're getting there. We're happy with the titles here because they describe the industry, not only open longevity work, but the industry as a whole. I think these are the types of people, these are the types of titles and functions that has to be performed within the community. There are obviously a lot of scientific titles as well. And people that will work with data, like timekeeper is someone who works on diagnostics of aging and measurement systems within the system, for instance. Another fun part about our open longevity community, it's a huge in geographics. We are everywhere. This is the wall in my apartment right now. I need to keep track what time is it now in what places. Los Angeles, Buenos Aires, our open genes people are in Buenos Aires right now. Some are still in Moscow, like Danila, who's facilitating this meeting right now. He's in Haifa, he's in Israel. We have a mathematicians group in Yerevan. We have another mathematician groups in Abu Dhabi. We are connected to Ukraine. Some people are in New York, and they're here and there and everywhere. So we're working 24/7 basically because of that. So these are just the numbers of people, but how do we actually communicate with each other? How do we work? Basically 3 levels of involvement. You're either subscribed and just read the content, or another option, you talk, you communicate with other people. And the 3rd level, you actually work on the projects. And you can do this on Telegram within these huge forums. You can do this within our Zoom calls, and we have quite a lot these days. Like these few weeks, we had 7-9 calls per week. These are all public calls. Some are in the formats of lectures. We invite scientists that give lectures on some topics. Sometimes it's more like a journal club. We discuss the recent published hallmarks of aging paper, and we did it for several calls. Sometimes we just give people the chance to talk to each other, to communicate, to introduce themselves. Sometimes we present some philosophy, some ethics, some like business angle, whatever. And we will be happy to have even more calls. Sometimes they just come on the fly, like, oh, I have an idea, let's have a call like within half an hour, like tomorrow. And people come. They still come even if you like announce it not really like in advance. It still works. But what we are mostly proud of is that people not only talk there, which has been happening for many years in life extension community, they actually start and do something together. So they are working on gene combinations. So they are actually talking about it. We have a number of scientists in the field, mathematicians, like people are trying to come up with a solution. How do we select the best combination of genes? Our conversation in AGCT forum has led to eventually, hopefully it will lead to actual experiment in New York, but this is where it all started. Then we proceeded, thinking about the details of the experiment. We had 2 side forums that were created from our forums. This is a knowledge base and game master. People are discussing these things there. Random coffee is an interesting service. We started to discuss it within the forums, and then some volunteers appeared, and then they just presented this possible solution of how to organize our work. Mid-journey, obviously, we're working. We're giving people the tools we're explaining people how to use the Mid-journey, and we gave them some subscriptions to create some art. All of our posters of our meetings since I don't know, Danila can correct me, probably since November or the whole December, January, and February, all these announcements were created using Mid-journey art. So we use that tool a lot. The second mathematician school, and we have a school of bioinformatics right now is running, and the second one emerged from this group. So a volunteer he proposed, I want to give some lectures, and he's doing that. So that's amazing. What else? What else? We used to have offline schools. Maybe some of you know about it. We started in 2017 in Montenegro, and we then have had several more schools in Montenegro. We also had several in Russia. Right now, we don't have an ability to do offline schools, but we switched to these Zoom calls, and they've been quite effective. These are, like, most of them are in Russian, again, because we're still in our language bubble, and all of these meetings are in Russian. But some of them were in English, and we do have several people who can switch languages. So if you're interested in some of these topics that you cannot read, unfortunately, sorry about that. I think we will translate the titles of the meetings we had before, present them on our website. Maybe you will be interested in, I don't know, like replicate this one, but in English or in some other language. Maybe you'll be interested to pick up the same topic. So yeah, this is what our offline schools turned into right now. They look like this. So several interesting observations about community we had during these years. First, transhumanists make the best employees. We have volunteers, and we have like several people who we actually managed to pay. But the best people to pay to are the ones that are ready to work for free. They have different motivation. They tend to stick with the job. Most of us here are nonprofits, right? We're always risking like we have money now, we might not have them tomorrow. What if we start the project now and won't be able to proceed with it tomorrow? You better stick with people who are actually interested in the topic, like sincerely interested, and will proceed with it even in in the harder days when you don't have any funding. So we just encourage anyone to not to hire people like specialists. Well, probably there are some specialists that can switch their ethics just because they're being paid and do their job well. But I've never experienced like this thing. All the like the best teams that we managed to build were with the people who are actually interested in the topic sincerely. Unfortunately, I don't know, maybe we didn't have an experience of like really huge budgets to pay these like magnificent people who are such high quality specialists that are managed to do this. Who knows, but this is our experience. Also, grants are better than salaries. These are just, you just set in advance, like this is the amount of job we're interested in to be done, and this is like the amount of money we're ready to give. Because if we are setting the work as a salary kind of basis, people are just, their motivation is different. It interferes with the workflow. Is well, I'm sure you understand how it works. Well, people, at least Russian-speaking people, tend to stay within their language bubble, probably because Russians tend to know English less than probably Europeans, I'm guessing. I'm very interested in another language bubble, a Chinese one. I don't know, maybe they don't know English as well too, or maybe they're strong enough and interested in each other enough and huge enough not to be, motivated to go outside of their bubble. But I think we just have to stick with this fact and know how to work with it. We will try to go out of this bubble, but it's still growing. And we still need to give these people tasks like within their language bubble as well. Also, there is a huge transition problem. Oh, that's a major thing. When we started the schools, longevity schools in 2017 initially, our trick was, well, we thought it would work, that we will lure people with the idea of, healthy advice, how to eat properly, how to exercise properly. Science knows this and that about longevity. And then we will just charm them with transhumanistic ideas and give them tasks and then just spread into the world with actually like projects and startups and research and stuff. No, it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. Of course, if you're working with big numbers of people, some of them tend to switch, but mostly they don't. Mostly people that come into the industry interested in longevity, like what supplements to take, what workouts to do, then they get some advice in this area, and then they mostly, well, have this feeling that, yeah, they fulfilled what they came for, and they don't proceed further. They don't go into like working on actual projects. This doesn't happen well enough. This doesn't, sometimes it happens, but not enough. So this is our experience. If yours is different, I would be very interested in knowing how you manage to persuade people to actually switch from one field to another. But this is what we see. There is a transition problem, and it affects how we market our ideas. How do we communicate with people? It has been well, quite a huge conversation in the field. Let's talk to the general public in a safer wording. Let's talk about health span. Let's talk about like this and that. Well, yes, some of them will be interested in something in longevity, but there is a huge risk that they will stay being interested only in that part, and they won't go into like, I don't know, like advocacy work or research work. Okay, I'm repeating myself. Sorry about that. Again, another thing with which we observed, people that are interested in lifespan, are more altruistic. They are ready to be volunteers. They're ready to work in the projects. People that are interested in health span, they're interested in immediate results. And they tend to they have this startup mindset. They tend to start startups and businesses. And it will be great to have a lot of businesses in the field, but it's not enough. I don't think we're there yet to start the startups. We need basic research. We need the field to grow. We need to change, the whole funding landscape in the world in general. And Gennady Stolarov is here. He's working on advocacy as well. If I'm not mistaken, there are other groups that are looking into that direction. And if with the startup mindset, you won't change the whole world dramatically. And yes, startups are dragging resources, people from political work, which we highly need. And also, people are very excited about art. Another recent discovery of ours. You just name art, and most of the people tend that they understand it more than science, for sure. It's easier to start, it's engaging, it's fun, it's beautiful. There are so many forms of art. So if we are talking about growing the community, this is probably the easiest way, but I will talk about it later, a little bit later. There are several obstacles that we're still facing. Again, this is our take from working in the community. It's hard to come up with tasks. Oh, it's like the major thing, the major obstacle when you grow a community of people. So when we talk about the importance of growing the community in life extension, what do we actually mean? We're limited in how many biologists and other types of scientists we can grow the community with, because professional scientists, they require budgets. And this is like a closed loop there. We require budgets, and we need people, and we need funding. And it's a little bit easier to grow the community with not scientists, with people of other expertise, backgrounds. And then we just show the public that we're huge. We're normal looking people. We're cool and great. We're experts. Yes, maybe not necessarily in science, but life extension field doesn't really need only scientists. We need many other experts too. So this is what we are. We're great, and we do these things, we do that things. And if we want to show not only the size, but the effectiveness of the community, we need to learn how to come up with tasks to give out to people, for them to actually, be useful, and to feel useful, and to actually be useful, and then to manage these tasks as well. And this is, I wouldn't say that we've solved this already. We're working on that. We have several solutions, but it's still a major obstacle. So if you want to run like a brainstorm within your small community, try to run this brainstorm. What types of tasks can we give out to the general public, to the people of different backgrounds? Again, fundraising as any nonprofit, it's hard, but also we feel that community management, though being crucial, I don't think this is the easiest thing to fundraise for. It's much easier to fundraise for scientific research, especially if you talk to business people to be sponsors. Business people tend to, they became business people because they like immediate results. This is their mindsets. And they understand the link between I fund scientific research and I probably will see some result or not. But this community management sponsorship, that's very tricky. Where's the result here? This is just sponsorship. I think it's a little bit harder to sell this thing. But we don't give up. We'll find our rhetorics and our ways to reach out to people. And yes, language bubble is again a problem for open longevity. Not many people in our crowd speak English, but the more we grow, the more people with different tool sets are with us right now. So I would say we have several more English speaking people right now. Hopefully that will change the better. Finally, so our tools and proposals as a community that we are ready to share with you and invite you to maybe test with us. Because this is what we do. We test different tools to work with our community. First is random coffee. So Alexander Sviridov, Danilo, do you know if Alex is here with us right now? Okay, cool. So I will probably stop. Well, I will introduce Alex. Alex is one of our community members and volunteers. He's a specialist in what he does, and this is like a great example of a professional in his field to join and actually do some work, not only talk in group chats. And he proposed random coffee for us. Well, maybe not he, but Danilo. But Alexander delivered. He organized the whole thing. He's talking to the service, and right now he will explain a little bit what that is. So I will stop sharing my screen. Probably no, I don't stop. Danilo. He will just. Okay. So Alex will show his screen right now, and he will explain a little bit what random coffee is.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Nasta. Yeah, I'm waiting to share my screen. Okay, yes. I guess you're able to see it now. So yeah, as Nasta mentioned, here at Open Longevity, we run a lot of different networking initiatives. And one of them is called Random Coffee. It's a very special initiative for my heart since I'm responsible for it. And Random Coffee is actually pretty straightforward idea. With Random Coffee, we connect community members for one-on-one meetings, usually virtual meetings, weekly and randomly. And the reason why we decided to try, there are actually several reasons why we decided to try this format. So one of these reasons is that we don't want community members to be simply listeners and viewers. We want them to be active community members. We want them to connect with other people. We want them to start their own projects. We want them to be surrounded by like-minded crowd. And actually, one of the great ways to build such connections are through one-on-one meetings, because it allows people to learn each other better. Another reason why Random Coffee is great is because it actually helps introverts to make connections, because usually you need to have a reason to connect, at least in introverts' way of thinking. But Random Coffee actually takes away this awkwardness, and it provides this formal reason to connect with somebody else. And also, Random Coffee helps to burst some social bubbles. We help to connect people across different circles, and we help to create connections that would not happen otherwise. So this is how we implemented this initiative. We decided to use a Telegram bot, a specialized Telegram bot for Random Coffee. And the reason why we used Telegram is simple, because the majority of audience is on Telegram for Open Longevity. We started it only for Russian-speaking audience. And in order to attract this initial audience to test, to see how this format is working, we just did a few posts on social media, and that was pretty much it. We were not doing like a lot of efforts to attract people. So let me share some of the results with you. This program is running for 8 weeks now. We have more than 100 members joined us, and we got quite a diverse crowd. We have some top-tier scientists, CEOs of biotech companies. In the same time, we have students who are just starting their careers. We have entrepreneurs, investors, activists, like really different people, and all of them interested in their own way. We had almost 200 meetings scheduled, and we reached, obviously this format is not for everybody. And after 8 weeks, after these 100 members joined in the beginning of this pilot, we still have 30 active members. And this is like the plateau which we reached probably like 3 weeks ago. And this is like the core audience who sticks and who continues to interact with each other. And just to give you some highlights on like how these numbers converted into something useful. Open Longevity attracted new lecturers to give lectures for their audience. For example, yesterday I met a guy who was just a follower for Open Longevity follower, and turns out that he's actually a great expert in CRISPR and bioprinting. And we had like meaningful, wonderful 2 hours conversation with him, and I invited him to give a lecture because like he's amazing, and I have no idea why he was not public about it before. So yes, he will be reading a lecture about bioprinting, which I think is extremely cool. And several scientists provided me with feedback that they actually were able to meet peers who helped them with their work, who provided them with meaningful feedback on their work, who provided them with new ideas. And that was a great experience for them. And also some of their followers agreed to provide pro bono support after they met one of the more active community members who just asked them to provide the support, and they agreed to. And one of Open Longevity followers proposed his IT firm pro bono help to build some IT products for Open Longevity, which is amazing. So we got these results. We are pretty happy with them. And what's next? Well, I'm happy to say that we decided to launch it in English to not only to connect people inside Open Longevity community, but also to connect people across different communities. And we invite all of you to join. We invite you to share this link with your followers. It's free. The format is the same. It's, by the way, I hope that admins share the link in the chat. So yeah, the format is pretty much the same, except that instead of Telegram, we will be using emails. We'll be sending you introductions via email. So if you would like to participate, I encourage you to do it until next Sunday to start from the first round of matches. And sorry, before Saturday. And on Saturday, you will receive an email which will ask you to confirm that you will be available for the meeting. And on Monday, you will receive an introduction for your first match, and you will start meeting awesome people. And that's pretty much it. Again, join us, share the link, spread the word, try it yourself. And if you have any questions, if you have a feedback, if you have anything to share, please contact me by following the link on the right. And I'm also always available and always happy to provide help. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alex. That was cool. Okay, so going again to my presentation, right? Can you see my screen again? Okay, what's happening? Danila? No? Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Can you see my screen again? Yes, you do? Okay, cool. Obviously, when another person starts to share the screen, yours is stopping. Okay, so Random Coffee is one of our tools, which I actually like. So it's easy. You just fill in the easiest form, like, your interest, your name, or like where you are, you're available or not. And you will just be presented with another person. You say yes or no and just talk with each other. No pressure, no like hard format there. Anything can happen, and it's mostly offline, but you can have coffee sitting in your apartment, and maybe then talk about meeting in person. Who knows? Another thing, art, as I said. It's also a community tool because it's exciting for people of different backgrounds, and you can come up with different tasks there. You can, ask people to organize an event. You can, you can just run a workshop, like do something like with your arms, something easy. This picture here, I will explain a little bit more about it, but art is also, it's the most honest life extending product. You want to sell something and say that we're actually selling something in life extension. And why is it important to sell something? We want to apply marketing tools. We need to apply them to some product, right? And and what is the product in life extension? Are supplements about life extension really? I'm not sure, but art can be, and also can be very, very different. And you can start a very bold scientific research, and if you're not confident enough to call it science, call it art. I think art just gives you the tool, the media to do amazing things. And let me just explain it to you a little bit more. So for some context, last autumn, there was a huge life extension exhibition and Nobel Prize. So it's happening, art in our field. It's already there. People are interested in it. And there are mixtures of performance art, some interesting forums, some science, some art and stuff. And we did a science residency in Tel Aviv just this autumn, which turned out into a transhumanistic art exhibition in the end. This was happening basically at the same time with the Nobel Prize exhibition as well. So that was a community event as well. Our volunteers in Tel Aviv, they just organized most of the thing themselves. They organized a group of artists that they had in mind, because they were already running a gallery and already were art people. Then we ran a number of lectures. We explained the ethics of transhumanism, what the word means for starters, what a transhumanistic art could be and could not be, and then they were free to do whatever they wanted with it, and then created their art pieces and presented them at this wonderful event in Tel Aviv. And this is Dasha on the left, wearing black something. She was the art curator of this event. And these were the people, wonderful people who gave the lectures within this art residency. So I think it's just a cool format. At least you can invite people to the event. That's also a thing for community members to do. And the picture I was showing to you, let me explain briefly what that is. This is our project, encrypted pictures, encrypted pictures about the networks and genes and the combination of genes and the complexity of our body, and how do we actually come up with these interconnections and all that we need to understand. And it's not that easy of a project to just a person from a street to join. A number of scientists from our team has been working on that before, but volunteers are different. They can have different backgrounds as well. Just since I'm showing you the picture, I just wanted to explain it to you what that is. These girls are the genes that, the fact in which extended the lifespan of mice in experiments, but we as humans have the same genes. We also have these genes in our open genes database. And here you can see some encrypted messages, what each gene means, what it does in our body. So here in the middle, you can see Rapa Nui statues on the hip of one of the girls. So this is an mTOR gene, obviously. and there are some other encrypted messages. Just briefly showing it to you. The birds are also the genes, but they're in between the genes. Like if you're building the network, how these genes are connected with each other, the birds are like in between of these connections. But there's a better way to explain what that is, and we have this like scheme graphics that it explains it all. And also you can find this information, this article about this picture on our Open Longevity website. Another picture is already, well, it's ready. We don't have a landing page about that, but it's on its way. And I think our team is working on the third picture. That'll be so cool to create just an art event with these encrypted pictures. And I can see how many like tasks I can give out to volunteers, handing these pictures, printing them out, come up with more creative ideas. Obviously, people don't really want, boring tasks. You need to be creative with the tasks as well. So yeah, this is how we worked with the picture. Well, this is how the work started initially. So this is our OpenGenes database. We have a preprint about the database, and then these are the girls. These mice turned into girls later in the picture. So yeah, we first did these infographics for us. Just another very cool example about art in our field. So this is Damien Hirst. This is his art pieces in Milan, in the gallery in Milan. It looks quite simple, flies and boxes. Scientists deal with flies and boxes all the time. They just don't turn them into art pieces. Obviously, you cannot just become Damien Hirst, a very well-established artist in the field, just in a night. And you need to be very clear with your messaging. But just take a look at, modern art right now. It's more about the message, not the form. And I think like transhumanistic community can be very strong with its messaging. We actually have something to present to the world. We have something to brief the artists with. So we can just run like a number of briefing events for the art community, and then start this community work from there, and then run a number of events again. So yeah, art is another thing for the community to work with. And the third thing is the research. Is the research that we are very proud of. Last Report has been our great partner in this research. So we call this project the counterclockwise project. I will explain right now why counterclock. This is the survey. This is a survey about your attitudes towards death and life. But it's not only a survey and not only about these questions. So why counterclock? Maybe some of you know this project of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. This is a doomsday clock. A doomsday clock, it's not actually like a clock, just a group of specialists in the nuclear situation in the world. They emphasize the risks that we have right now. If the atomic bomb will go off, we actually face these risks. And annually they run this meeting and they decide how close to the disaster are we, to the midnight are we. They started this many years ago. Last year, we were 100 seconds close to the midnight, to the disaster. And just on the January 24th, they had this last meeting and they moved it even closer, 10 seconds closer. We obviously know why. And this is an art project also. It's not actually a clock, but it's a measurement system. They measure very important risks that we have. They measure how far are we to the extension or to the survival. And we as life extension community, life extension field, need the same measurement system. If you actually want to stay alive, We need to learn how to evaluate the field right now. How optimistic should we be? Because if you talk to different people in the field, some are very optimistic. They don't really think that, oh no, we don't really need to change anything. I'm good with funding. My projects are thriving. We will get there like within like 10 years, so 5 years. Like, don't worry. Some we are more on this field, on this side, more worried. We don't think that the development in our field is, is going fast enough. Where I'm not sure that I will make it. And if I evaluate the field this way, I will have to make another decisions, run another projects, not the startups with some existing molecule, but actually like try to change the industry as a whole, like maybe affect the governments. And this evaluation of the field is very important. And we were trying to come up with a system how to measure like how optimistic should we be in the field, and probably. Well, this is our theory. We can measure it from the attitude of people towards life and death questions. Like, what do people in general think of the field? Do they really know about it? Are they interested in it? Because if people are interested in life extension dramatically, if they understand it the way as we do, then this will affect the funding on the governmental level. And this is what we need. Well, we think so. So how do we measure the pace of development of life extension industry? And this is our counterclock project. So yeah, this is the measurement system. This is also a marketing tool. We will ask people not only what they think about life extension and death and all, and age research. There are almost 100 questions, which is, by the way, it doesn't take you long to fill in the questionnaire. The flow is good. It takes you like 10 minutes top. But we also ask people about their different aspects of their life. And then in the end, we can build the portraits of these people, like who are the people that we're talking to actually, what are their interests, how do we reach them? So in the end, we will have a useful marketing tool. We will not only survey people, we will also educate them. Maybe some of these, the respondents, they will hear these questions for the first time. They will ask them for the first time, like, what do I actually think about life extension? Do I actually want to see the world in 200 years? This project also gives you the tool to work with community. This is the easiest task to give. Just fill in the questionnaire, or spread the word about the questionnaire. Let's send a link to your friends and all. And mathematicians and people like who tend to work with data can also help working with data afterwards. It's an easy entrance to the field. If a person just hearing about it for the first time, this is where you like falls into the transhumanistic pit here, hopefully, and stays with us. And this is so much needed research. We don't actually know what people in general think about life and death. We tend to think that they're not interested in it, and that yes, a lot of people have much more like pressing matters, pressing problems. That's true, but also people do think about death. They think about it, and they protect their thoughts about it with religion. That's why religion is so popular. Or they just like go to doctors or like buy supplements or whatever. People do think about it. It's just how do they think about it? How do we reach them? How do we reach this interest in death and life with people? So yeah, this is our research project. In the top, you can see the example. This is the first question. Overall, I consider myself an active person. And you have to, and this is like a standard scale. You totally agree, you somewhat agree, you're unsure, you somewhat agree, you completely disagree. And this will be the same answers for all the questions. And that's why it doesn't take you long. You just go through this, you're just getting used to the flow quite easily. So we translated our questionnaire into English. I will present you the link later, but we tested it in the Russian-speaking community first. And this is how it went. In November, for 2 weeks, we ran almost like more than 1,000 people, which was statistically enough to apply some cluster analysis tools there. The flow of the questionnaire is good, and we are certain in that because only 18.5% of the people didn't go through with the questionnaire, and all the rest did go with it. So we're pretty certain it's not that hard to ask our 100 questions. And in the end, we managed to actually apply the tools and cluster people into interesting groups there. And to the right, you can see the example of pictures which we were creating with Midjourney, and you can use the prompt that I'm giving you here to create the same pictures. So what did we learn from these 1,119 people survey in Russian? Just like a disclosure, we didn't we didn't try to reach the broad audience there. We just tested it, and we basically spread it through channels, through Misha Barin's channels, and yes, he obviously has Transhumanist subscribers, but also through a different, a friend of ours, Instagram. She's another type of blogger. She's somewhat connected to transhumanism, but it's also a mystical thinking kind of people. So a different crowd there. But here we don't really need a representative group for the tools, the analytical tools, to be applicable. You can apply mathematical tools and see that there are 5 interesting clusters of people, and you will probably see the same clusters. This is how it goes. So we've seen transhumanists, we've seen esoterics, we've seen traditionalists, we've seen rational people, and moderate, somewhat in between this and that. And here I'm naming you the mathematical tools, what was actually applied to work out the data here. And from the questions that you ask, you can see that people are tending to form the other types of groups, and there are accesses to then measure them on different measurement systems. And these are another 6 factors. People are either tend to accept the death or fight aging. They're either more rational thinking or mystical thinking. They either lack the energy or they have the abundance of energy. That's just a very interesting axis that we've seen. So we ask people a bunch of questions about do you run your own experiment right now? Or, how much are you involved in your project? Do you feel energized? And we can see for instance, people who tend to fight aging, they're quite energetic or not. Some of them are more innovative thinking, some are more traditional thinking. We've seen an interesting measurement system, which is eco-humanism kind of group, and on the other pole is there's techno-cynicists. And we can see that transhumanists, they tend to differ between these two groups of people. Eco-humanism, we came up with these names ourselves. This is not just you're given with the names. You just see that people tend to ask these groups of questions yes, and these groups of questions no, and you just have to come up with the name for this entity yourself. This is how it's done. So in the end, we saw that there are basically 2 groups of transhumanists. Eco-humanists are kind, they recycle, they work out, they look after their health, they fruits and vegetables kind of people. And techno-cynicists, they don't really care about their body. They spend a lot of time gaming. They can even smoke. They're more into let science fix everything for us. We don't want to do yoga or anything. And they are interested in different projects, and it's kind of important to learn how to address these very different groups of people. I'm sure you can agree with that. And also optimism and fatalism is also an interesting scale to measure people with. We have a several pages report about this, because I'm just only scratching the surface here. Like maybe this is more informative. We will translate it. Sorry, yes.
Was there 2,500 respondents, or was there only 1,400 respondents?
There were 1,119 respondents who,
okay, but you
who went through the whole questionnaire.
Yes, yes. But in total, that was surveyed. Is it those two numbers together?
No. 1,373.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Well, we reached to them, yeah, but not all of them went through. Only 18% didn't go through. Yeah. So yeah, we reached 1,300 people. Yeah. We would like to reach as more people as possible with the next take, because this was in Russian-speaking community. Now we translated everything into English. We had Patrick. I don't know. You probably don't see this talk right now, but it helped us a lot. He's a native speaker to with wording here and there, with all the flow and all. So I would say right now we're ready to run the same research in an English-speaking community. First, we will have to do this with the first 100, maybe 200 people as a test, because probably you will see some artifacts here and there. You don't know what you don't know. Some questions, we were 100% sure we translated right, and Patrick was 100% sure he understood it right. But this was not what we meant. I'm sure we will face this problem, and we will see these artifacts in the results, and then we'll have to fix it, smooth it out, and then actually share it with as many people as possible. So it's not a traditional polling, what I'm trying to say. We don't have to select one person from each type of groups when you do polling for political reasons, for instance. For this research, it's a little bit different. But if you're experienced in research, on this type of research, we would be happy to collaborate, to work together, to work with data, to start the initial, probably we'll have to, if we write the article in the end, an actual scientific article in the end, not only use it as a marketing tool, we will have to say in advance, what types of people were we trying to reach and actually reach them, set the design of experiment in advance. So if you have any experience in that, please reach out. We're very interested in collaborations. So yeah, this is our English-speaking research on the attitudes towards death. And the examples of questions that we ask, I don't have to know the meaning of life to want to live. Science fiction is my favorite genre. I think about death on a daily basis. Travel is an important part of my life. So these are the types of questions that we ask, and some other questions here. So what is our plan right now as Open Longevity? We proceed with our scientific projects. We fundraise for them, and we tend to give out more grants than salaries. That's what we do there. Community, yeah, we will try to improve our website to be more clear with our communication. I'm not entirely happy with it right now. We had so many new things being created just recently. It's not there. It's not there on the website yet. Sorry for that. So Notion and task management tools will be there. If we're talking about organizing the work, we need some more task management tools, and we need more tasks, obviously. And as about ethics, we are writing the books, we are creating new movies, we are interested in new media, and we're interested in, we're sharpening our clarity and transhumanistic wisdom every day, writing the text about it. And how do you join if you are interested? So Random Coffee, which Alex was talking about, we will provide you with the link. You are most welcome to join. no obligations. It's absolutely free. You will be connected not only with Open Longevity community, but well, with any people who are listening to this broadcast right now, and we'll try to spread the word about English-speaking random coffee as wide as possible. Another thing is our surveys, our research. Please take part, answer the survey. It's only 10 minutes of your time, and please share it if you can. We will be very grateful. And please join as a researcher as well. Collaborations, yay! Obviously, as a nonprofit, we're interested in sponsors, the donations. We can accept that. We are almost a 501c3 charity registered. Well, we registered in United States. We're in the middle of this process. We applied, so it's all good. Like on a legal level, it's all good. You can donate to us. You can accept donations, and if you are not comfortable with giving out money for just like something, you can buy something. You can buy a t-shirt, you can buy some merch. We came up with a number of pretty, I don't know, this is actually the t-shirts that I'm wearing right now. I think it's cool. This is a pure coincidence, by the way. I just like it. I'm wearing it all the time. Yeah, we have some merch, random coffee, research, donations, and merch. And subscribe everywhere that you feel comfortable with, everything that you use. And this is our website. And I think after our talk is done, we will just give the list of all the links that were mentioned today in the description of the videos in YouTube. Yeah, this is it. Any questions?
Yes, thank you very much, Anastasya, for your presentation. And I'm curious about several aspects, but the question I will pose first would be, what are some of the strategies that you have in mind for overcoming the language barrier that you mentioned? Clearly, this isn't a barrier for someone like me because I would be able to communicate with your Russian-speaking members, but how do you envision in the next few years building more ties between Open Longevity and the English-speaking transhumanist community or the European transhumanist community, which obviously speaks a number of languages, French, Spanish, etc.? Are there ways that perhaps don't require people to learn one another's languages, but still enable collaboration?
I think when you communicate with the text messages, it's easier. Well, Google Translate works magic, and you can do that. But if people don't really know the language, I don't think it's doable, frankly. Well, random coffee is a possible tool for some people within the Russian-speaking crowd. Some people do know English. They need some I don't know, pinch to start communicating in English. They feel too comfortable within their group right now. They're motivated enough. Maybe some of them will treat this random coffee, transhumanistic random coffee, is a language practice. Maybe that's my guess. Also, I think we will just need to grow the number of people in Russian crowd. And with number, there comes quality. And we see it in different aspects of our work. We have Alex here. He speaks English. He's, I don't know, I think you got everything that he said. I certainly did. So we didn't have Alex several months ago. And with this growth, there are more people, and IT people and science people. They're mostly no language. They just need to be motivated. They have to be put in the position to use the language. I wouldn't say I have a solution right now. We need to test these tools. I think random coffee might help for now.
Yes, thank you for that answer. And a related question is with regard to the lectures and meetings that you highlighted, most of which were in Russian, some of which are in English. And I noticed the Open Longevity YouTube channel is fairly new, so you have a few live streams on there for now, but where were those meetings hosted? Were they published online anywhere, or were they in closed sessions?
No, they're not closed at all. We are very public. We announce them on our Telegram chats, and sometimes in Instagram. We have a shortage of people who will take that part of our work. We're looking for some like a social media marketing manager. So Facebook and Telegram, and sometimes Twitter. So social media, we share it there. And then people come. We share the link not only to the like YouTube to watch, but also to Zoom to actually join and ask questions. Yeah, no, we are very open with these meetings. Anyone can join.
Just
We're on
to add
YouTube.
just to add to Nasta's answer, we have a separate YouTube channel for Russian-speaking audience, and it's on YouTube, but just on a different channel.
Yes, and just so that people are aware, where on YouTube can one find those recordings?
Danila, could you please put a link in the chat, both on YouTube and here?
It's called Open Longevity Community. So we have 3 channels right now. Open Longevity Community is for the broadcasts of the events in Russian. Open Longevity channel is for all our English-speaking content. For some movies that we shoot in English, for some meetings that we did in English, we will, do our best to grow it. And it's fairly new. That's why not many subscribers yet. And Misha Barin's channel was like the initial one. We have like the most subscribers are there. And it's mostly Russian, but sometimes in English and sometimes with English subtitles as well. We created a playlist of English content on Misha's channel. It's separate there. We have different questions. David, yes, please.
This was really impressive. I really liked,
Thank you.
not only do you have big numbers, but you also have structure to your community. And you also have projects to use the people there with targets and goals and progress. So all of that's great. And you also reflect on what's happening. And you say, well, let's try this. And if it hasn't quite worked, then you try something else. So that's all great. There are 3 things I'm personally going to commit to do as a result of hearing about your work. First of all, I'm going to fill in that survey because it looks very well thought through. And assuming I have pleasant enough experience with it, I will be recommending to the London Futurist community and my other social media followers that they take part as well. And then thirdly, I'd love to help disseminate the results of the analysis of that survey. Maybe a comparison. Here was the results of the Russian language survey. Here were the results of the English language survey. So that's all encouraging, and maybe even have a London Futurist meeting dedicated to that. Secondly, I loved the idea of the random coffee. And at first I thought, oh, I'll copy that. I'll do that myself. But then I thought, hey, this is stupid. I shouldn't copy it. I should just feed my own community into taking part in the random coffee that you are setting up. There's no point duplicating this. So I'm going to commit to joining that random coffee. And third, the other thing I want to do is to take a look at some of your videos, the ones in English language, and try and select some which I can add to my Vital Syllabus project, where I try to gather some of the very best, clearest, more engaging information on all of the vital principles and skills for the modern world, which has one page out of 24 pages devoted to longevity. So I'm encouraged, and I'm really glad that this meeting was organized, and I look forward to more collaboration. By the way, for those who don't know me, I run London Futurist and various other transhumanist activities based in the UK.
Thank you, David, for kind words. I'm so happy you'll join the random coffee and the survey and all. Thanks. Oh, so Didier, Didier had some questions.
Jose was asking before me, so I leave it for Jose first.
Okay, Jose.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Anastasya, great to see you again. And it is impressive, all the things that you have been doing with the team, with Open Longevity, with Misha, and some other people and volunteers like Alex and Daniela. So congratulations on that. And two ideas is that it would be fantastic to restart the longevity schools. And remember that I propose to do them in Tenerife. So Tenerife is...
I do remember.
Yes, it's a fantastic place. So I would be happy to organize that with you. And then also, I just sent the link to one video that you could include, and also for David for his list of videos, materials on longevity that is going to be coming out soon, which is the longevity hackers. That video, I think, is a great video, very well produced. It will participate in several international festivals, and it should be coming out later this year, Longevity Hackers. So those are two suggestions. And I have a personal question, if you can ask. So how is your status? Because the situation with Russia is so complicated. Have you been able to settle in the USA, or what are your plans, if you want to answer?
I plan to stay here. Hopefully my visa will go through. I'm just in the process of applying. There are like slight chances I will have to leave, but my plan B is to go to Israel, where my husband is. So I'm not coming back to Russia anytime soon. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I feel disgusted going back there, basically. So I don't want that. As to the organizing an offline school, oh gosh, that will be so wonderful, but it's so hard to do it right now with everyone being so scattered all over the world. But I don't know, hopefully we will be able to do this. Yeah, let's talk more, sure.
Congratulations. And just one more comment about Israel. I was in Israel 2 weeks ago for the Innovation Festival. They have a lot of interest in longevity, and I will be going back in 2 weeks again to another longevity conference organized by Ilya Stambler, that you showed him in your pictures also, because he keeps on organizing activities on longevity. So he has the Longevity Nation conference in a couple of weeks. So I will be happy to return to Tel Aviv for that.
Oh, I sort of miss Israel. I left it in April. It was fun there. But the plan is to stay for at least a year here, and even if I leave, the Open Longevity is still here. It's doing okay. Misha will be here, so yeah, we're doing okay, basically. Didier.
Yes, thank you. And generally everybody, I think it's very interesting. I have 2 questions. One, it's more a comment. Well, no, okay. You spoke about the Chinese community, we don't know a lot about it, and that's true. That's really very complicated. Do you have ideas how to reach potential longevists there? I don't, or more precisely, what I tried, I didn't know, was not successful. And the second question is, but maybe, sorry, the second question is, but maybe I missed something because I was kind of distracted. But do you have projects concerning people testing products, or helping scientists to test products with mice, rats, or animals, something like that, for longevity, of course?
Okay, so the Chinese group, I have an idea because I have Nathan Chang. he mentioned that, well, he sort of know the guy who knows these chats, because he's a Chinese Canadian, so he has some connections there, but we're not sure yet. So nor he, nor I, we haven't tried to reach out yet. Maybe it won't work. But yeah, it's interesting to look into this. As to testing compounds, right now we are the experiment, this combinational experiment that we plan to start on mice in New York, will be actually testing the combination of different drugs. Hopefully, we will have enough funding and resources for that. The experiment on flies that we are doing in Turkey, well, they're creating genetically altered flies there, so it's not compound testing. As to organized biohacking or propose people to test something on themselves, we are very much in favor of these projects doing properly. I really hope that they will finally start to take off. There are a number of platforms that try to organize biohackers. There's a number of initiatives where people try to give people their protocols of experiments. There's just a little bit. It's almost there. Nobody's actually making it happen. But as soon as it happens, so we will be happy to spread the word about it. But we are not doing this right now. No, we don't have any projects with the people and compounds. Not yet, and not anymore.
Just one fast more question, well, related concerning the flies, what you were showing. Do you have a link to the experiment or to the
yes, we can provide the link later, a little bit later in the description. I will certainly send it to you. We don't have a page about this experiment on our website. I don't know why. Well, I don't have a page that I like that I can share, but we have the description of the experiment. Just maybe help me a little bit out. What information would you be interested in that experiment?
Well, just a description of what's happened, and because I'm
okay.
Yeah,
description of the design. Yeah, sure, of course, that's not a problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of animal studies, in half an hour on my YouTube channel, we will be streaming a virtual enlightenment salon with Dr. Aubrey de Grey, who will be discussing the first robust mouse rejuvenation study of his new foundation, the Longevity Escape Velocity Foundation, of which both I and David Wood are members of the board of directors. So that is going to be a fascinating discussion, and I would invite all of you to watch it and ask questions of Aubrey de Grey. But I wanted to ask another question before I have to depart, and that is with regard to what you would consider the influence of Russian cosmism to be on the general cultural attitude within the Russian-speaking world about longevity and the practicality and desirability of achieving indefinite lifespans. My general impression, and this was perhaps anecdotal, is that I have not encountered the same kind of moral resistance to life extension in the Russian-speaking world that I have encountered in the English-speaking world. The resistance from the Russian-speaking world tends to be more from the standpoint of fatalism. So it's not that they disagree with us about the desirability of these goals. It's more that the prevailing attitude is life is bad. There are urgent crises right now, so you have your head in the clouds if you're thinking about the attainment of indefinite longevity. But I'm curious about your impressions and how, in your view, attitudes differ on the subject between the English-speaking world and the Russian-speaking world.
Yeah, I certainly see the difference in how people treat transhumanistic ideas in Russia and in America. In States, people are very focused on their survival. Even if you are wealthy, you're very much dependent on your business, on your work. and all your life is very much structured around this. You don't really have. I feel that people are very stressed out with their work, with their survival, and they don't really have this slot in their minds to think about anything else. That's sad. That's very stressful. That's a stressful thing that I see here in the States. And in Russia, well, with all things considered, with all the bad things that were happening to Russian society as well, we still have there free medicine, and at least some, social instruments, some tools, some safety network. You don't end up on the street if you lose your job. This is not how the life is structured for a Russian person. So people have some time, at least some time, to just relax, breathe out, and think about some other stuff. I think this is the major reason for there to be more transhumanists and philosophers in Russia. As to Russian cosmism, yeah, it is a history of that, but I don't think that most of the modern Russian-speaking people are even aware of this, layer of history. Misha Badin certainly is, Alexei Turchin is, and some other speakers in transhumanism, Russian-speaking transhumanists, and they were spreading the world, well, based on that knowledge as well. But maybe did they become this speakers and advocates for the cause because of this Russian cosmism? I don't think so. This is just how they were born. This is their nature to spread the world, to be alphas in their ideas, and this is very and it's just, I think there will be more transhumanists in States if there were needed people, and these exact people at the needed time and place. We were just kind of lucky that we have them, and this is the major reason we have more transhumanists there. We have needed type of advocates. Yeah, but it's an interesting topic. This is another thing that we can scratch with our survey there. How do you create transhumanism? How do you create it? From what type of media do they emerge from? Maybe we will have the answer to that question in the end. And as to Aubrey de Grey, by the way, we had a talk about this. He's an experiment which is also a combination of drugs, which are very interested. We had a talk with him a few weeks ago, and you can also find it on our YouTube channels. We had several of our scientists asking him questions about this design and all. This was kind of interesting and enlightening. So I encourage anyone from our open longevity community to join your call, Gennady. And I know, David, if you're looking for some English-speaking channel on our English-speaking content on our channels, I would probably recommend you to take a look at this video and Cryonics movie, these two.
Thanks.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And I would just like to say, to conclude on my part, that your observations about American life do resonate with me. So my impression, having spent the first 9 years of my life in Belarus, was that luxuries were scarce, but you could get pretty much the necessities of life, if not on a guaranteed basis, then pretty close to guaranteed. They were inexpensive and people relied on being able to have them, even in a period of hyperinflation. And I lived through some years with 2,000, 3,000% annual inflation. However, in the United States, the considerations are reversed. So luxuries are very easy to come by, what we would consider luxuries in the Russian-speaking world, but necessities, particularly housing, healthcare, and higher education, are the scarce resources, and people could quite easily be bankrupted even if they have middle class or upper middle class incomes. And it is true that a lot of people in the US feel spread thin because they have to attend to necessities or crisis situations. And as a result, it is challenging to get volunteers unless the volunteers are already well off to a certain extent and they have the time and intellectual mental bandwidth to attend to higher order thinking, which transhumanism requires, and to long-term intellectual projects. So that is an issue that we need to continue discussing, and we need to find ways to overcome. That's why in the US Transhumanist Party, we try to keep the barriers to entry as low as possible. We try to keep membership free. We try to enable people, if they have 15 minutes a week to do something, we try to give them those opportunities because we think any participation is better than no participation, and we try to be flexible with our volunteers. But ideally, we want to find people who perhaps don't encounter those constraints or can work around those constraints, and we'd be happy to get any ideas about what works in this regard, what works in bringing out the best in people and enabling them to contribute no matter what background they come from.
I would just like to add one thing. Well, we thought that we could turn this call into a series of like exploring different communities in different countries, different groups, because well, we all have our like quirks and interesting parts. Some are not big, but maybe have some interesting cases. Like we meet in this interesting place and we do this interesting project. There are only 3 of us, but we were highly effective. I'm very interested in that. If you have your experience, like, I don't know, in Australia, I think there's a transhumanistic group in Australia as well. David, if you have a group around you, I'm very interested in learning what your community is about. Gennady, please share your community with us. So, and Jose and Didier and everyone, this was a call like between Open Longevity and, you know, like a French community and you, and all of you here, but we were mostly presenting. I would be happy to hear you talk about like your communities as well. So maybe like let's connect through the email later and decide who feels comfortable sharing information about like their communities as well, their experience. So yeah, let's do that. And then maybe we will learn how to reach to Chinese community, the mysterious huge community of China.
Yes, well, I would be happy to do a subsequent installment of this kind of conversation. Indeed, let's coordinate via email in the coming days.
Mm-hmm. Great. If some of you like might think, no, our community is too small, I don't feel comfortable like talking about it, let's combine like 2 communities in one meeting. That's also an option. But yeah, thank you for having me, Didier and Leonid. Thank you for organizing this, and Alex, once again, thank you for joining the meeting, and Danila, thank you for your questions. I'm happy that you actually enjoyed our projects here. We'd be very happy to see you taking the survey and a random coffee.
Great. And just to add, yeah, I think we should try to exchange more information because it's really great what's happening in Russia, probably also in other countries that we don't know. Anastasya, I will add you in a few lists, maybe, or I don't know, maybe, or because, yeah, once again, so many interesting things. And so I will now stop. I think it's to me to stop the meeting. And so goodbye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Thanks.